Hey folks, I'm Chris and I'm your Commander Mechanic, here with a different video. With Strixhaven right around the corner, I wanted to discuss a new commander and a list that I'm excited to play coming up this season on stream. If you want to know when I'm going to be on stream, you can follow me on Twitter at CMDRMechanic. I'll be playing new decks like this one all the time. Today we're looking at the new uncommon commander, Quintorius, Field Historian. This new Lorehold legend is incredibly interesting, and as I mentioned in his original spoiler video, linked up top, I have been itching to brew around him. This deck walkthrough is going to be a little bit different as well. The list I've put together is a moderate power list, meaning no fast mana like Crypt or Mox, no infinite combos, and no off-color fetches. Later in the video I'll talk about two options, powering up the list and powering down the list, in case you're interested in a stronger, limitless option or a more casual, wallet-friendly option. Let's first take a look at our new friend Quintorius. Our commander is a 5-mana Lorehold 2/4 Elephant Cleric. That's right, a legendary elephant. Quintorius gives all spirits we control +1/+0, making them a half-lord for spirits. But the best part is their triggered ability. When one or more cards leaves your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. That is a juicy ability, and there are a few things to note about it. The first is that it's one or more cards leaving your yard, worded much like Sidisi Brood Tyrant is with Mill. So that means if your yard is exiled with a Tormod's Crypt, you only get one spirit, not one for each card in your graveyard. So that means we want to stack our deck with lots of ways to remove a card at a time with individual triggers in order to maximize these effects. So including cards like Scrabbling Claws or Phyrexian Furnace are going to be important to us. The other thing to note is that the ability doesn't care where the cards go, just that they leave your graveyard. So they can be exiled like recasting a Faithless Looting with Flashback, returned to play with a Sentinel's Eyes, or exiled temporarily with an Is It Chemister. That gives us some very clear goals to building around Quint here. Get cards into our yard, then find ways to reliably and repeatedly remove cards from our yard. There are a lot of little value synergies in the deck as well to ensure we function without Quintorius in play, but even better when Quintorius is in play. For instance, we have Trove Guardian plus Crucible of Worlds. Trove Guardian triggers on landfall to exile small permanents from our yard, and Crucible lets us replay lands from our yard. We get a Quintorius trigger for both of them. But without Quintorius in play, we still get a lot of value here. Repeatedly casting fetches from our yard, like Arid Mesa, Fabled Passage, or Prismatic Vista, and creating more permanents we can pull from the yard for Trove Guardian to eventually put back into play. We also have mono-white all-star land tax in the deck. If you've ever played with land tax, you know that you end up dumping a lot of unused basics into your yard pretty often, which gives us cards we can harmlessly and guiltlessly exile. That can fuel the escape costs of cards like Ox of Agonis or Underworld Breach, both of which cause more cards to leave the yard. Great value on its own, but even better when we net a bunch of 3/2 spirits for things that we want to do anyway. But my absolute favorite interaction in the deck is with Quintorius and Bag of Holding. Not only is this combo flavorful, but effective. Normally, an effect that exiles multiple cards from your graveyard would only create one spirit, but Bag of Holding triggers for each card you exile. That means that if you cast a Shattered Perception and discard 4 cards, Bag of Holding sees each one hit the yard and exiles them individually, netting you a total of 4 3/2 spirits. This can be amazingly effective if you can give these spirits haste, like with an Anger, which we would have to get into the yard in a way other than discarding, because then we can now immediately attack with these now 4/2 spirits. If we can chain more than one wheel in a turn, we can create a spirit bomb, if it were. That's not taken, right? Now, apart from making an army of ghosts with Quintorius, how does this deck plan to win? Well, there's also a new card out of Strixhaven that uses the same strategy to great effect, Fuming Effigy. Whenever we exile one or more cards from our graveyard, we ping each opponent for 1. A small but effective way to deal non-combat damage to each opponent and slowly whittle them down. We can also win via non-combat damage synergies with Quintorius like Impact Tremors, dealing another 1 damage to each opponent whenever we make a spirit or another creature enters the battlefield. With Fuming Effigy and Impact Tremors, these 2 cards combined shock each opponent whenever we make a spirit. Pretty easy to do multiple times in a turn. Then we want to lean into combat. Once we make a mountain of spirits, what do we want to do with them? We want to send them in, right to the dome. Akroma's Will is a great way to alpha strike with the team, or can be used as a defensive gotcha to protect yourself. We have plenty of removal in the deck too, ranging from the new Rip Apart to the classics of Wear Tear and Swords to Plowshares. We'll be able to deal with just about any threat if and when it comes up. We are very spell heavy in the deck, running only 17 creatures since we'll be relying on Quintorius to make more for us. So we want to keep that in mind when we choose which creatures are in the list. A priority will be to stick creatures in play to be a little defensive while we get the rest of our strategy off the ground. Sun Titan, Venerable Warsinger, and Aurora Eidolon all play into our synergies while providing us with good bodies to play defense. Now, I did mention that we would be looking at scaling the deck. Right now, we're at a good tuned level and a $500 budget. Let's take a look at how we can tune up and, as I rarely do, tune down the deck. First, if we want to upgrade some pieces, we can add in fast mana. We're in Boros, so ramp is not our strongest suit. With a 5 mana commander, being removed once is enough to make Quintorius cost as much as an Elesh Norn. That is not ideal. We could add in some combos to the deck too. There are a few existing infinite combos that would get us infinite spirits, for instance. Using unlimited reanimation loops, for instance, with Karmic Guide and Revel Arc. This loop has each of these creatures bringing each other back for infinite enters the battlefield, dies, and leaves the graveyard triggers. That can net us a battalion of creatures, stopping whenever we feel like it. And we could also add in extra combat effects. Waves of Aggression in particular would be a good synergistic fit, as retracing a card from our yard removes it from the graveyard, places it on the stack, then puts it back into our yard after it resolves, netting a Quintorius trigger and the ability to beat in with our army again. Now, if we wanted to tune down the list, making it a little less aggressive and a little less expensive, we can remove some of the more powerful pieces in favor of Spirit Tribal shenanigans. I would recommend removing Crucible of Worlds, Dockside Extortionist, and Smothering Tithe, to name a few. This gives us the ability to then remove things like fetch lands from the list, since they won't have the juicy synergies in the 99 anymore. I would replace them with more Lords. That is, creatures that pump spirits. Hoffrey Ghostforge, whom I recently did a build for, linked up top, is another way to pump spirits and give them haste and trample. We could also include Phantom General and long-forgotten Gohai as ways to make the spirits we create even bigger and more threatening. Balefire Liege would also be a great substitution, as it would not only give your spirits +2/+2 for being red and white, but would also do some incidental damage and gain you some life when you cast spells. Personally, I am really excited for the opportunity to make a whole bunch of spirit friends with our Inquisitive Elephant and all of his tricks. I hope you're ready to take a journey through history and commune with the past, right into our opponents' faces. If you liked this deck tech and walkthrough, let me know in the comments below and let me know what you would include in a list including Quintorius. I will have a look and I read all of these comments personally. As always, folks, thanks for tuning in, good luck, and have fun.